Hi, welcome to Inside the Moms Club, where being a mom is the coolest place to be. Here in the Moms Club, we believe that what embarrasses you now will make a great story later. And let's face it, you don't laugh sometimes, you're gonna cry. Join us in having a good laugh together. I'm Monica Samuels. You are now inside the Moms Club, your private destination for all things mom. Hi, moms out there. Welcome to Inside the Moms Club. I'm Monica Samuels, and I'm so glad that you can join us today. And I'm here with my co-host, Leslie Harrell.
Hello, all.
Who's part of the Moms Club.
Yes, I am.
And so glad, particularly having Leslie here today, because Leslie, now just a little background here. After trying on a few of my winter clothes to see how it was going to go for the winter, realized maybe it's time to bite the bullet and sign up for Weight Watchers. I mean, I have to be honest. I've signed up a few other times, but when you don't really do it at all, it doesn't really count.
Yeah, you do actually have to.
I mean, I had a membership, but that doesn't. I learned by just having a membership doesn't work. Just like the time I once joined a health club in Dallas when I was practicing law there, and I never went the entire year until I got this postcard that said, this is our annual Christmas luncheon for the Y.
So you never
downtown.
went and worked out, you just went and got food?
So the only time I went the whole year was to their luncheon. So I'm not a good dieter, let's put it that way. So Leslie agreed. So this time I'm going to really work on it. Leslie agreed to be my accountability partner.
Because I started in January, and I kind of had an unfortunate jump start because I got COVID. So for 2 weeks, I couldn't taste or smell. So I was like, well, I don't really care what I eat. What difference does it make? So I really had a good jump start. Like I got over the first hurdle. So I started that so I've been doing it for like 10 months. So I'm kind of at a plateau. So when Monica was like, I feel like my clothes aren't fitting really well. And I was like, you know what? I've got another several pounds to go. So I'll hop on board and be an accountability partner. Although we've been doing it for a week and a half.
And you're over this 10 months. You've been doing really great. She's my inspiration. So I thought this is a good accountability partner.
Yeah, but I'm texting her regularly, and sometimes she goes radio silent.
She started off. She was super serious because she actually did every day. It's like, good morning, Monica. Today I ate a egg frittata with a whatever. What are you having? I'm like, okay, so
this girl's crazy.
Then I was with my other friends who are also Moms Clubs, people that you all know and love, and I said, okay, I'm gonna be honest. I already day 2. I was walking through the Trader Joe's, and they had their apple cider donuts, which is just seasonal. They're hardly out at all. They only
you got to do it.
I mean, how can you pass it up when it's not going to be there next week? So I said, I got to confess to you guys, I ate the apple cider donut, and they said, well, you really have to confess that to Leslie.
Yeah.
So
you didn't actually confess that to me last night. I didn't hear that.
No. So here I am on national podcast confessing to Leslie. Yes, on day 2, I did eat the apple cider donut. And I also want to say I do not regret it at all. It was absolutely delicious. But I will keep trying.
You will keep trying.
You're going to keep working. Now, you yesterday came up with something that I think this is how you really, really diet. Okay? So, Leslie, you're experimenting with your oven. And you discovered something that I think should be on all ovens. This could solve everything. This is
hysterical because I was just cleaning my oven yesterday. We moved to this house like a year ago. So all the appliances were all in it. So it wasn't like I planned it. And so it's always had this screen on it, and it's hooked to my Wi-Fi. And I'm just a gadgety person. So I was like, when we moved in, I hooked it to my Wi-Fi, and then I downloaded the app. And so I can start my oven from my phone and all that stuff. So yesterday it said it had an update, and I was like, okay, sure, push the button. Yeah, do the update. Well, so later that night, I had dinner in the oven, and I'm sitting on the couch, and I have the back door open because, like we always talk about, we all have puppies, and we took a puppy from a shelter like 3 weeks ago, and so he's not potty trained. So anyway, I had the back door open. Well, anyway, we're sitting on the couch, and because my watch will go off when the timer is done, I saw my timer was going off, but I hear this random sound, and usually it's this ding, ding, ding when it goes off and the timer's done. And I hear this. and I was like, is that outside or is that? But it coincided with my watch. Oh my gosh! When I had done that update, it added a turkey feature onto my like how to cook a turkey. Like you enter in the time, I mean the weight and the how you're going to cook it. But it also changed the timer to be a gobbling sound.
So it gobbles.
So it gobbles.
So you hear this sound like, help, help.
At least it
It's
doesn't
hot.
do it while it's in the oven.
Let me out. But see, that's the thing. I think that's where the genius of this, because as far as dieting goes, or at least becoming a vegan, let's put it that way. This could work.
Like turkey's not bad for you.
Because if every time you cook something, like if you made a steak and it mooed to tell you it was ready, like, are you going to eat that? Or oink oink.
Yeah,
I'm not going to eat the ham after I've heard the thing. And I did have a similar experience many years ago. So, an old boyfriend, long gone, but I was trying to make dinner for him, and I was going to make a romantic, nice, cool dinner and prove that I could cook, which I cannot cook. So it's been proven many times since then. But I had this pork tenderloin because he liked that, and I was just cleaning it at the sink, and for some reason National Geographic or something was on in the background, and I heard what sounded like a lot of pig
sounds,
and it like freaked me out, and I threw it up in the air. It landed on the floor. Now this is like an hour before he's coming over. I'm a big germaphobe. Like, I didn't know what to do. Like, do I wash it off? Well, I'm not going to wash it off. If I did wash it off and cook it, I'm not eating it. So then he's going to wonder,
like, she's not eating her own food.
Her dinner.
Yeah.
So
I think if you wash it off, you're good. And there's always like the 5-second rule. So
I know, I've heard all that.
Yeah, I mean,
no, we went out.
You're a germaphobe, so it is what it is. But
I confessed, and we went out to dinner. But my point of all of that is, I think you've hit on a great way.
A great diet program.
You didn't mean to do. Yeah. This is.
I mean, if it mooed when I put the timer on and it mooed, it'd be a whole lot less appealing.
If it made noises
or like, clucked or gobbled
or did something, that's
squealed.
Yeah. Now the sad part about it is protein is better diet wise than, you don't hear your potatoes, screaming, and sugar's not gonna do anything but lure you in. So it's like
there should be a specific sound for sugar, but it would sound really like a siren song of some sort.
Yeah, we have to think of something that would
Well, I'm going to get back on you. I
smell.
let you go this week and frankly, because I was kind of being lazy. And you were talking about like the whole apple cider donut thing. I saw this morning on social media that Bluebell is coming out with their Christmas cookie ice cream, and so that's a downfall of mine too. But anyway, we digress, and so
we do. But honestly, I don't think I eat that badly.
Boy, I don't think we eat that bad.
But I exercise all the time.
That's a whole show.
We do have to talk
we can do
about
the whole we can do the whole show on how we all think.
How we're all in denial about stuff like that.
I am. I'm me, the queen of it. So I'm certainly not throwing stones.
Let's just put it this way: the proof will be in what you see as to how effective she is as an accountability partner. Maybe you'll make a whole career out of being people's accountability.
I don't think I'd have a whole lot of friends.
If you can succeed with me, maybe you can just turn this into a whole business.
Yeah, because I need something else to do.
Yeah, you're not busy enough. That was another thing I was going to talk to you about. You're kind of slacking here, Leslie.
Yeah.
Not hardly. Well, and speaking of someone who has a lot going on, and I mean is an amazing person, our guest today is truly amazing. She is a mother, first and foremost, an author, an entrepreneur, a producer, and a creative. She's a fashion stylist who has worked with Lauryn Hill, Jay-Z, Chris Rock, and such a list of luminaries. I could go on and on. She's formerly married to the singer Usher, and in 2012, sadly, she lost her 11-year-old son, Kyle, in an accident. She's chronicled all those experiences in a new memoir that is just being released called Here I Stand, and we are so thrilled to have with us today Tameka Raymond. Tameka, welcome to the Moms Club.
Hi. I love your energy. That's so cool.
How are you? Well, we are good.
We're good. It got a little chilly in Austin, Texas today, so we're having our first kind of cold snap.
A little cold, but we're doing good.
I'm against the chilly weather. I'm in California.
Good for you. Everybody seems to think that Austin is a little more like California. especially all the Californians who moved here.
This is true.
Today they're learning that that's not
It
exactly
can be
what they were expecting.
it can be different.
But yeah,
Well, you have such an incredible career. How do you get into I mean your initial intro, I guess, professionally was in the fashion world, right?
Yes, yes.
So like how old were you and how did you get going in that?
Well, I have an aunt. She is almost 98, and she kind of introduced me. She owned a retail boutique when I was little, and my kids, my kids, we were all kids, me and my cousins, and we worked there. And she paid us like nothing. So we had all experience. That was our paycheck, I guess. We were probably age 10 when, working in her store.
Cool. And so like did you just have a knack for it? Were you like dressing friends up or, dressing adults up or like and then when did it really because it's one thing to think like I'm not a fashion person. So like that's not my skill set at all. But like with people who like it, it's different to just say, hey, I like putting myself together and oh, I think I'm really good at this. I'm going to put other people together and then they have to buy into it. Like you can't you can't just sell it, sister. You got to actually do it.
Actually do it. You're right. And I appreciate that you recognize that you're not necessarily good at it. Most people think they are good at it. That's the problem.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, they try really hard. Well, my aunt, I worked in her boutique and she had a consignment shop. So people would bring in things and we had to assess, it was really her job to assess whether or not they were sellable or if they were, anything of quality and how to price them. So I learned a lot about fabrics and the makeup of garments and how things were actually done and where they're produced. And I learned a lot at a very young age. And then after that, after doing that for, I guess, I don't know, 5 years as a young girl, I went on to the Fashion Institute here in LA. I went to FITM. And my major was merchandise marketing. I wanted to be a buyer, actually. I didn't want to be a stylist. But someone pulled me in and was like, hey, we want you to work with our group and we want them to give them your same style, your same flair. And I think it was more personality than fashion they were looking for. But anyway, that's how I got into it. That's how I actually got into it, is working with my aunt.
So who was your first celebrity client and how did you land that job?
Well, the first client was a group called 702. And they were a R&B group that were signed to Michael Bivins. Have you ever heard of a group called New Edition?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, New Edition or BBD, Belle Biv DeVoe. And so he had a record label and he had a group called 702. And from there, it kind of snowballed. It was, referrals through the label, like, oh, can you work with our jazz artist? Or can you come and do this video for this person? And so I kind of kept going on and on and on. It was great.
That's exciting. So you've just put out a book about your life and you've had some career ups and you've had some downs. And of course, one of the difficult chapters of your life was, I think it was in 2012 when you were going through a divorce and then you lost your son. And I have to say, personally, when I heard this story, I could relate to it in a not completely, but strongly, in that my son and the other moms in the Moms Club know my son Jared was in an accident where he was thrown from a golf cart and suffered a traumatic brain injury, was on life support. We went through a period of time when we didn't know if he was going to live or not, and then we didn't know if he did live, what condition he would be in, and we're very blessed that he's doing quite well. And he actually now works for a group, volunteers for something called Hope for Minds, which is helping kids who've gone through and their families who've gone through traumatic brain injuries. So when I was reading and hearing about your story, I thought I know a lot about that feeling when something like that happens. And so my heart definitely goes out to you about that. You've really come out strong also looking at that since then. I mean, your attitude about what happened and how you deal with it now, and the things that you're sharing with the world about your son Kyle, the show that you're doing, and some of the things that you're doing. If you could tell our audience about that, because it's really impressive what you've done with a difficult situation, and I know they'd love to hear your story.
Yeah, so Kyle also suffered from a TBI. So that's, yeah, I know, all about them. I studied when I was in the hospital with him for 2 weeks. I studied about TBIs and all the, the kind of the, I would say kind of what the ramifications of that would look like. Um, and the doctors early on gave us, a pretty bleak, diagnosis. They were like, listen, it doesn't look like he's going to pull through. We don't have any brain activity. And they pretty much told me, but my position was like, number one, we have to speak positivity in the room, around him in the hospital. I need everything to be positive. And the other thing is, I was like, when I found out I was pregnant, the first thing I heard was his heartbeat, which is a term that I use for my kids. I call them my heartbeats. So I said, I heard his heartbeat first. I didn't hear anything about a brain wave. So until his heart stops, we're not removing any, support, any life support, nothing. And we did that. And I mean, he was there for about a little bit over 2 weeks. And I kind of just, I fasted and prayed and I was there, nonstop. And eventually his heart did stop. And so that was the deal. So a lot of reports were that I removed him from life support, which is something I would have never done. I'd be sitting there today, if he were still alive on life support. I just would. I would have never given up. It's been a process. I mean, it's touch and go too. I'll say that. It's not like every day I wake up strong with good energy. Some days I wake up heavy with the cloud following me, and I know it's me missing him.
Yeah.
But you've really parlayed that into honoring him in such an amazing way.
Kyle's World Foundation. I mean, that's can you?
Yeah. The Kyle's World Foundation. We started out initially doing all performing arts camps and performing arts initiatives for kids all around Atlanta, because that's where he was from. That's where he was born. And I now segued it into something a little better, to me at least. I'm focusing on random acts of kindness. You know how you hear about kids that you'll hear a story like, oh, he cut lawns to pay off all the lunches for the kids, or, do something. I hear about kids doing really, really nice things. I want to reward them for their efforts because Kyle was really kind. So kindness is a big part of what the foundation's into now.
But even before Kyle passed away, am I right? Like going back, is that you'd already started another organization to help at-risk kids, and then you just have kind of taken that. And I think that original, I can't remember what it's called, but what is the original program that you had started?
I'm actually a part of 3 foundations, you guys. Like I am like nonprofit.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, she's part of a lot of organizations. That's a lot of work.
Oh man. So the first thing I did was called the Lost Ones Foundation. Lost Ones was at-risk girls. I thought if we focus on the girls, because guys a lot of times do things to impress girls. We know that. All the boys, they get in trouble, they drive their cars fast, they want to look cool, they want to smell cool. It's because they're trying to impress girls at school or wherever it is. So I thought, but these girls are so lost. You know what I mean? The girls, if the girls would get it together, the boys would follow suit, right? So if girls became a little bit more ladylike, in today's world, like became ladylike, maybe the boys would kind of tighten up their act to impress the girls. So the foundation was Lost Ones. The other foundation, the last one, is called Oakland Natives, and I still have it. I'm from Oakland, California, and we have an initiative where we do a stay in school. We do backpacks and school supplies and bus passes and toiletries and all the stuff they need to start school for the first month of school. So we supply all of that. We've been doing it for 14 years.
Is that all still in the Oakland area, or have you had people that have jumped off into other cities and started that initiative in other cities? Or there might just be ones like it, but is it stemmed from your organization?
Well, Oakland Natives started, it's in Oakland, but we have done other cities. Actually, we're doing something in Texas very soon. We're doing an initiative in Texas too.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah, we did London. We've done a few cities and countries as well.
Oh, wow. You alluded to something just a few minutes ago when you said that there was reports that you had taken your son off life support, which you didn't. Yeah. And so the press has not always been particularly kind or fair to you, it seems. How did you handle that? Or how does someone in your position handle that? Because in some cases there was sort of a media balance of power. I won't call it a balance of power, but if someone has a stronger presence in the media, they seem to run the show as far as, what the media will report. What's been your experience, and what advice do you have for people that are in that situation?
Tell your story. I can just tell people to tell your story. You have a voice, and everybody, I think, should have the right to tell their story the way that, the way that it happened in their life. And if anybody's worried about what you're going to say about them in your story, then they have had time that they can show up differently in your life. They could be better people, So I guess every day that you live your life, you should think somebody could write a book about you.
Yeah. And how do you want that story to be told?
Yeah,
that is true.
Depends on how you show up. You have time to present yourself in a good way and be a good person. I never worry about what someone would write about me. As long as it's truthful, you know what I mean? If they're telling the truth, if they say, hey, she's hell on wheels. And I'll be like, yeah, some days, sometimes I can be. And I own all of my stuff. I'm okay with it.
Well, I think to get things done and to be doing the expanse of the things that you're involved in, I think to say that any of us who are really involved to say that they're not days that we're hell on wheels would be completely, people handle it differently and maybe handle it better, but at the same time, to get it all done and to manage children, someone's got to be on task, right?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. How do you manage everything that you have? And you have 4 sons you're taking care of. How do you do all of that?
Well, my 2 of my sons, I will have to say, I don't have to take care of them as much. Because my oldest son is 31.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go.
He's an adult. He's super independent. He's like, God, I'm just so blessed. He's never been in any sort of trouble, and he's not disrespectful. He's not on drugs. There's things that you have to pray for as a mom, And then my son under that actually just graduated from an Ivy League school, University of Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
Very good.
Yeah, he did that in May. And now he's at Cal Berkeley. He's a Cal Bear football player. So I'm headed to Tucson on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Good for him. That's fun.
Too. He's the head guy.
Oh, I'll have to look for that.
So he's a quarterback at Cal Berkeley.
In grad school. He's in grad school now.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, that's cool. Good for him.
It's a lot. And then my other boys are young. My other boys are the ones I had to drive so far to school this morning.
How old are they?
They're 12 and 13, but they're about to be 13 and 14, like in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you're getting into some real interesting times here.
Yeah.
the teen years. Yeah.
There's definitely, it's harder I'd say my younger boys are a little more challenging than the older ones were because they have a celebrity father.
Okay.
So there's a bit of, I guess, entitlement that comes with that. Abuse of power. Is that a good word?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that just because of their lifestyles, it's a little different. They've traveled all over the world. They've seen stuff, I'll give you an example. We'll go to a restaurant. Now, I'm a regular mom, and I promise you, regular mom. I'm not a celebrity. I don't consider myself as such. But we'll go to a restaurant, and my kid will be like, yeah, so I'll have 3 orders of the yellowtail. I'm like, who's paying for that? Because they don't think realistically, like, hey, that's $45 a plate. You know what I mean? You want 3? Are you serious? I think that's just a part of just their lifestyle. But on the same token, it's not all the way a bad thing because the way that they think, they're critical thinkers. They're like, one of them I said is a lawyer already. If there's a way to pass the bar at 14, he'll do it in a couple of months. But yeah, I juggle a lot. I do have to juggle a lot, but they're first. I put the kids first and everything else goes around it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm impressed. You are a mom first, definitely. Well, Tameka, we would like you to meet our Zoomer moms who are about to join us. So come on in, Zoomer mom. Welcome, Zoomer moms. Let's bring them in. Good morning. Hi. Let me introduce all the Zoomer moms to Tameka. We have with us today Jennifer Marsh, who's the mom of two children, a son and a daughter. Angela McComb, who has three children, two daughters and a son. Caitlin Nelson, who is the mom of a toddler and an infant. And we're so thrilled that she could be here with us today because you know how it is when you're a new mom. It's a little tough.
Yeah.
We're proud of your rally.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Helen Savage, who is the mom of a lovely daughter, Olivia. And last but not least, yes, Julie Orchid, the mother of two daughters. So welcome, Zoomer moms.
Thanks for having us.
Hi.
Okay, let's get some questions for Tameka. Let's start with Angela. Angela, do you have any questions for Tameka?
Okay, I'm going to ask sort of a heavy question. Sure. So when you've lost a loved one, I lost recently my best friend unexpectedly, and it's been just really, really hard for me, and the grief has just been a lot. How do you know, because best friend isn't the same as losing a child, which as a mom I would know would be the worst. How do you know that you can get through it? How do you know that, it will be okay? How did you go through that?
Well, how long has it been? I'll ask you that first.
3 months.
So that's very soon. I mean, it's not going to feel like you'll ever get through it right now. You don't see an end in sight for the grief, because every time you think of this person, you just get a knot in your throat, I would imagine.
Yeah.
When it came to as it relates to my son, I won't say when, because that would be past tense. As it relates to my son, there are days that I can talk about him just like now. I just spoke about him for probably 10 minutes. No tears. I'm good. I'm smiling. I'm bouncy. But then I could get off of this Zoom. I can walk into my room and see something that's a reminder, or I can smell something, or I can hear a kid on television. Sometimes I'll look up and it'll remind me of him, and I'll fall out. So I guess the point is you should grieve as long as you need to, grieve any way that you need to, and it will get better. It will get easier. You'll learn. In my case, I haven't gotten over it. That would be a stretch, but you learn to live around it.
I like that phrase, live around it. Thank you.
Yeah.
You'll be able to function around it. Yeah.
Jennifer, do you have any questions for Tameka?
I have so many questions. But I'm really excited about your book because, as Monica knows, we love biographies. Especially autobiographies. Truth is always more fascinating than fiction. And your story has got to have so many interesting perspectives that probably people didn't understand, because whenever you're living in the, public arena, the things that get said about you are so unfair. And so, I'm always amazed at how much people hurt, with the things that they say, and they would never say those things to someone's face, but they'll say it to a screen on a TV that gets broadcast to America.
Yes.
So I wanted to say, you had mentioned in one of your interviews how important it is that your kids hear your story told from your perspective, and sort of how you got to that place and understanding how important it is that your kids know your essentially side of the story, or your perspective or lens through which you were able to view your life, because they'll know they'll know the big outline of your life, but they won't know the detail.
That's true. And because hurt people. That's the first thing I'll say about the interviewers. Oftentimes the interviewers that are dishing all this quote unquote dirt about people, if you go into their lives, you'll find out there's so much dysfunction. You'll find out they're so unhappy, either in unhappy or abusive marriages, or there's drugs involved, or there's just all kinds of things. So the interviewers, a lot of times you have to take a lot of stuff you hear on the news, like with a grain of salt, and consider the source sometimes. Yeah. Yes, writing my book was a bit of a diary for me. So as I was feeling things, I started writing it that way. I literally started writing my book when I was going through my divorce. I just was writing what I felt, and I was angry. So all the words were just like, and all all the explicitives you can imagine, they were in there. They were in there, trust me. The early manuscript you wouldn't have been able to read. You'd be like, she is a potty mouth. but over time, it got better and things got easier. And so then I wrote about when my son was in the hospital. I started writing about what I was feeling, and the whole book was going to be called Mad at God. That was the name of the book, literally. I was mad at God about everything. Oh, I was pissed. I was like, I've been a good person. Yeah, maybe I lied to an officer once and told him I was going 55 when I was really going 70. You know what I mean? Like I haven't done anything egregious to anyone. I've never hurt anyone. I've never stolen. I've never, there's things I just don't do. And I was really, really hurt by some of the things I would read. So I decided during the pandemic, actually, to put it all together, all those different pages and all those notes and all those different, little baby manuscripts and whatever, to put it together into a book during the pandemic when everybody was stuck in the house. I was writing. I wrote every day. I went to Cabo, I laid on a beach, and I tell you, I wrote chapter after chapter, vacationing. Lots of chapters were written. And so it's good. It's very truthful. And
I can't wait to read it because I know that your children especially will appreciate it now, but also in the future when, your 13-year-old is 30, looking back, going through, having a relationship like a marriage. And my parents have started writing their story, and it's interesting what they're saying. And I'm learning about them even in their late 70s. I'm learning new things about them.
Oh, yeah.
Also think about it. When you go through divorce, I don't know if anyone on here is divorced. Well, good if you're not. But I am. I've been divorced twice. And what happens is, there's a lot of emotions and feelings because it didn't work out. So the version that your kids will get from your ex would usually be different than, it wouldn't be exactly factual because they don't take ownership for a lot of stuff. When you go through a divorce, this is what happens. Everybody's trying to defend their role in the divorce. And so they're always trying to make themselves look good. And so your kids will get whatever version their dad gives them, or their dad's new wife or dad, whatever. So in my case, I wrote it myself. I was like, I'm telling myself, I'll spill my own tea. You'll get the tea from me.
Yeah.
So,
I love that.
That's great.
I take ownership for my faults. I'd be like, hey, I did it. I was wrong. Dead wrong.
Helen, do you have any questions for Tameka?
I understand. Hi, Tameka. I understand that you were on a reality show for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you'd like to maybe comment on, or?
Let's see. Reality TV and me. That rhymed. That could be a new show. When I was on the reality show, there always has to be an antagonist. Whenever there's a reality show, if you ever see a reality of any cast, like I don't know if you watch Beverly Hills, Housewives of Beverly Hills or the OC or whatever, there's always one that's kind of a villainous sort of person, and that was me. And the reason being is I'm very outspoken. I don't sugarcoat stuff. I'm kind of the person, I shoot straight from the hip, and they use that to their advantage, I would say. Yeah.
Julie, do you have any questions?
Yes. First of all, the world goes fast. I'm catching a flight, so I'm so sorry for moving around. Tameka, it is a pleasure to talk to you. I have a two-part question, and I'll make it quick. First of all, I have a statement. I think that your son and my daughter, who's 14, should open up a law firm.
Oh.
Because let me tell you what, whoo, girl, she is, that's exactly, they're both going to be lawyers. That's what I have to say to that. You hit the nail on the head. My second question is, I'm taking notes here like I'm in a conference, or you have spoken so many things that have gone through my mind. So my question to you is, where did you get the courage to tell your story? Because I've done a lot of writing. I'm newly divorced, and it's been a big transition, and we're still going through so many things and lots of hurt feelings. And I know you're shaking your head because you know what I'm saying. So where did you get the courage to finally just tell your part and not worry about what everybody else thinks? And I think that's super, super cool.
I don't even know. I have the balls of a burglar. Okay. So let me.
I love it.
I do. I listen, I didn't tell my version of events and my version of the story I've been divorced since, I guess, like 2010. It took me a decade. It took me a while. And I was very afraid because I thought lawyers were going to get me. And that's still a possibility. So hurry up and order your book before get on your computer.
I think you're good.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, time will tell, I guess, right? But like I said, you owe it to your daughter. Look, your future lawyer daughter. She has to hear both perspectives because she's probably now at 14 analytical, and she knows she's able to read between the lines. Kids are smarter than we think. We sometimes don't give our young children enough credit. That's why I always spoke to my kids almost as adults. I didn't baby talk them. I know you have young children. You got to kind of speak to them, in kind of layman's terms. Like, no, we're not going to throw a tantrum. We're going to get up and we're going to, use your words, So with my kids being 13 and 14, I thought it was time. I was like, just start writing. And let me tell you, even if you don't publish your book, I advise everyone, even if you don't put it out, if it's just for you, just do it. Just do it. Write everything you feel. And as I started writing, my brain started pouring. It was ridiculous. I started trying to think of my childhood. I started thinking about my mother, and it made me think about my parents. It was very cathartic. Because I was like, yeah, my mother probably shouldn't have done that. Certain things my mom did. And I'm like, God, we're so much alike, and you start seeing the parallels between you and your mother, or some of the mistakes your mom made with you, because we're all products of what we were taught. All right. So my mother learned from my grandmother, my grandmother learned from her mother. And so just think of how generational some of the stuff our parents did. There's no manual that comes with being a mom. We just got to touch and go and figure it out. We don't get any kind of a handbook, no guide. We just can do things like this and try to learn from one another. But every case is just so different. But yeah, I encourage everybody, write.
That is such great advice. Caitlin, do you have a question for Tameka?
Yeah, so as Monica mentioned earlier, I have a 3-year-old and an 8-week-old. So I feel like my style has been kind of going downhill the past few years and just transitioning between sizes. And I feel like I don't really have a personal style at this point. So I'm curious, with your amazing background in styling, what would you recommend to someone who is looking to refine their personal style? Like any sources of inspiration, like through books or podcasts or?
My biggest approach to style is comfort. I don't follow trends. Even as a stylist, it was always hard for me to work with trendier, newer, younger artists. Like I probably could never style like Cardi B or anybody, because I would just be like, I don't know how to sew straps together and make a, I'm into comfort. So even I have a clothing line, and everything is like loose fitting, and I like comfortable stuff. Now, but I also believe in sexy. You know what I mean? So I think you can be very comfortable, but you can I think you have to pick a body part that you love and you kind of work with it. Lipstick helps. I know that sounds really trivial, but on your worst day, you can throw on a t-shirt and a pair of sweats, throw on a red lip and a cute earring, and it'll spruce you up and make you feel better.
Yeah, that's great advice.
That is good advice. And you know what? And my mother was right then. She always told me I had to leave the house. I couldn't leave without my lipstick. And we once said that if I had a heart attack and they were having to call the ambulance, put the lipstick on, because she ingrained it in us how important that was. So that is great advice. Well, Tameka, I can't even believe this time has just passed so quickly. We're thrilled that you were able to join us. And for those who want to find Tameka on social medias, it's at Tameka Foster, and buy her book, Here I Stand. And where can they find your book?
So it's on Amazon. I think it's kind of hard to find because I want you to order it from my website, TamekaRaymond.com.
Okay, great. Yeah, order her book, and we should do it for a book club.
Yeah,
with
we can do our
wine.
own book
We
club.
do our own. Book
I might
club.
join. Now, what you said you're doing a book club? When are you doing your book club? It's a Zoom one, right?
Yeah, Zoom. It's on the 11th, so 11/11.
Okay.
So, if someone wants to join the book club, do they just go to your website and join it from there, or how would someone do that?
You tag me. So when you get your book, you can just say, "Got my book, ready for the book club." I'm asking everyone to post when they have it, and then we're going to go through and we'll put everybody, send them the Zoom links for it.
Okay,
Awesome. That's great.
That sounds great. Well, thank you so much again. And thank you to our new sponsor, Good Company, which Good Company is a family-owned and thoughtfully curated boutique specializing in contemporary women's clothing, and it features several products produced in the United States.
Speaking of styling.
Exactly. Mom and founder Mallory Carroll and her team of dedicated women also carry vintage jewelry, apothecary items, and eclectic home decor. They are, if you need something to look perfect for any occasion, it's Good Company where you want to go. You can find their products online at goodcompany.shop. And also we're excited. They have provided us with a beautiful Mercy top, which is one of their many lovely items that they have. And we are going to be giving that away on our Instagram at Inside the Moms Club. Look for it. So when this episode with Tameka Raymond airs, look at our Instagram account, because we'll have instructions on how you can win this beautiful top. So that's very exciting. And again, you can find us at Inside the Moms Club on Instagram, our website. You can find us on the UBN Go network, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We are so thrilled that you joined us today. We're sorry that the time has passed, but we'll be back next time with extraordinary moms like you and celebrity guests. We know that your me time is precious and valuable, and we're so excited that you spent some of it with us. Remember our motto: if you don't laugh sometimes, you're going to cry. Keep laughing, moms out there. We look forward to seeing you next time on Inside the Moms Club. Bye for now.